Sukal halal wa kabod wa hataparaf la Yahweh Bahashim Hamashiach Yehoshua. All praises to the Most High. All praises, honor, and glory to the Most High. In the name of the Mashiach Yehoshua. Okay, so today, um, part of the reason for me doing this video, I'll be discussing various topics and things um that I've kind of been following along and checking out. I'm more of a quiet person, so I tend to listen a lot more. I like it. I love to listen a lot more than I actually do speak. Um, However, like I said, I'll be highlighting certain topics in this video. Um, Things that I've kind of known, certain discrepancies perhaps, and it's not just to um, pick on others, because first and foremost, I want to preface everything that I'm going to do today by saying that what I know and who I am is not above reproach and is not above error, right? And I'm hardly ever opposed, or not ever opposed, to receiving sincere, uh, humble, constructive criticism. Now, I understand sometimes criticism comes harshly. However, as long as it's sincere, okay. So I haven't done a live in a while. Trying to get the kinks out. However, what we see here, uh, like I said, I've certain issues and discrepancies things that I would like to correct. That I've noticed. I hear this term Canaan a lot, the land of Canaan, and like I said, I'll be addressing a lot everything that you see in the description, Numbers 33, Numbers 34. Uh, these precepts that hint at where the actual land is. I've noticed another thing that I've noticed is a lot of people um, out there, they don't ever really highlight these scriptures that really give uh, an overwhelming amount of evidence as to where the scriptural lands actually are and who the scriptural people actually are. Okay, and let me start here actually. So what we see here, these people here, as you can see, Reuben. Let me make sure that I'm getting this on. Okay. As you see, all of these tribes here, okay, these are the subclans. So if you remember in scripture when Abraham and Lot, they kind of acquired, they accrued a lot of land and what have you. And after a while, they couldn't live together, because naturally what happens is when you take up so much space, naturally what happens after a while is you tend to have disagreements, over who is where and who has what and this, that, and the third. So you can't really expect that these people inhabited these 13 tribes plus their subclans. You can't really expect that they inhabited just a small piece of land. And I'm saying this because this should give a hint as to where they are saying that the land is nowadays. Not even in the extensions of the land, that is Saudi Arabia, the Jordan, not the Jordan, but Jordan, the country Jordan, Lebanon, so on and so forth, Syria, and even a certain part of Egypt. It just couldn't be these people and their growth. It couldn't be that they inhabited, and their cattle, and I mean the strangers that were with them. It, I mean, perhaps in very beginning, maybe. However, as we go on in scripture, as we get along in scripture, we'll see that this wasn't the case at all. Okay, all that you see here. Now this is Numbers 26. You can find the scriptures here, Numbers 26, First Chronicles, right? 2, 3, all the way to 9, 1. Now this here matches this. Now you may not believe in DNA, right? But let me tell you something, for good reason, you have DNA in your body, okay? And DNA is not an error. If you say DNA is an error, that's like you saying the creator that created you is an error, okay? So technically, now there are errors on DNA, but that is more of a professional conversation. That's a conversation dealing within DNA. But however, uh, you know, in actual fact, the DNA is not an error. DNA, a lot of things can be established and revealed with DNA. Okay. I just want to state this. Our bodies consist of 6 billion DNA letters. Okay, 3 billion nucleotides or base pairs. 40 million polymorphisms. 46 chromosomes, 23 are paired, and on the 23rd chromosome, the 23rd chromosome is considered the sex determinant chromosome, i.e., XY for a man or XX for a woman. Okay, the polymorphisms are used to calculate genetic variation. Okay, this is how you establish who you are. And see, as you see here, E1B1A only fits the 12 tribes, right? Almost to the exact haplotype as you've seen before. Simeon, if you start from the top, Manasseh and Levi, they contain 8 subclans. Okay, Gad and Benjamin contain 7. Okay, Judah, Asher, and Simeon contain 5 subclans. Okay, and then Reuben, Ephraim, Issachar, Naphtali, they contain 4, and then Zebulun 3, and then Dan 1. Okay, so almost down to the various, subclan, that is to say here, which would be your subclade here. Subclan and subclades match. Okay, now I'm not numbering. This is just for us to gather together, like as it says. Hopefully, all of us out there that will see this video, we will see this video and say, okay, this will, raise somewhat of questions. I'm humbled if you say that I may raise your knowledge. Okay. I really don't refer to myself as a teacher. I'm a forever student. I love being a student. However, anyway, to go on. So DNA, getting back to DNA, 40 million polymorphisms. In order to calculate what is referred to as ancestry informative markers or ancestry, we're only dealing with the Y chromosome in this case because, and I'll come back here, pursuant to, let me see, I hope I have it. It doesn't have to load. Okay, no, I don't. So I'll just go. Now, Deuteronomy chapter 4 verses 37, or verse 37, it says, and because he loved thy fathers, your father carries a Y chromosome. So your father, you may think that your father ain't squat. However, your father gave you a very good gift of either that X chromosome or the Y. Therefore, he chose their seed, right? And I have my own personal story about that. However, I can highlight something. I can highlight on that later on. So therefore, he chose their seed after them and brought thee out in his sight with his mighty power. So he chose their seed. Okay, their seed meaning what they passed down. The fathers passed down to their children, the papas. Okay, so again, 40 million polymorphisms multiplied by, we keep hearing this, less than 1%. Okay, that is actually 0.1%. And people say, oh, how can you believe in 0.1%? That's less than zero. It's because it's a percentage and it yields a positive integer. So when you take 40 million polymorphisms and you multiply that, once you calculate 0.1%, it is actually 0.001. So 40 million polymorphisms multiplied by 0.001, you get 40,000 polymorphisms, and that is enough to establish ancestry. Now, ancestry informative markers is actually calculates as far as uh 0.6%. Okay, and that's much higher. That's 240,000 polymorphisms. Okay, so whatever number you're dealing with, the number yields a positive integer. Thus, you're able to establish ancestry. Okay, so here is the Y DNA haplogroup, E1B1A. These are subclades, as you see, 1B1, A1, A1E. Okay, and I'll highlight on this. Perhaps I'll come back to this. Okay, only E1B1A will fit this, and that's not to say that the stranger can't be considered an Israelite, right? This is pursuant to Ezekiel chapter 47, verses 20, in that range, verse 22. Okay, but the stranger has to be on the same program of the Most High, because the Most High is dealing with Israel as well as the stranger. The Most High loves the stranger when you read Jeremiah chapter 7 verse 6. Okay, and Deuteronomy 10 verses 18 and 19. Okay, you Israelites, you can't deny that. The Most High is not only just dealing with Israel, he's dealing with those that are on the same program as Israel. Now, who you believe Israel to be, yes, that matters a lot. Because you could be looking for the wrong people and dealing with the wrong God. Okay? Now here we go, Deuteronomy. I want to start here because I hear this term Canaan, 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 Canaan. Okay, and that's not, I mean, for all intents and purposes of his historical fact and what happened. Sure, however, technically the real name of and what it should have been is not is why Canaan is incorrect. Okay, so we'll start here, Deuteronomy 7, or Deuteronomy 32, verse 7. So remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will shew thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. Verse 8, when the Most High divided the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam. Okay, remember, genetic variation. Okay, Shem, or Sham, Yapath, and Cham. They varied genetically. Okay, they varied genetically. He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. Okay, and that Y chromosome, it goes back thousands of years. It just doesn't go to your father. That means if it went to your father, that means you just got here. Okay. So verse 9, for the Lord's portion, referencing to this situation with Canaan, is his people. Okay, now who came first, Canaan or the Lord? Now, the Lord is infinite. Okay, so Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So the land of Canaan, that lets us know that Israel, or Shem at the very least, the land should have been named Shem, the land of Shem, not the land of Canaan, or the land of the land of Yashara'Allah, okay? Not Canaan, the land of Yashara'Allah, okay? And we'll find this in Jubilees chapter 10 verses, I want to see, let me see, right here, see? And you can read this on your own. However, Canaan would happen here. Jubilees chapter 10 verses 28 to 31. Canaan dwelt in a land that didn't belong to him. And his father and his brothers knew about it. And he knew about it, and they told him so. Okay, they corrected him on it, or they told him about it, and he didn't, he didn't change it. So what happened here when you get down to let me just read 31. And Ham, his father, and Cush and Mizraim, his brothers, said unto him, Thou hast settled in a land which is not thine, and which did not fall to us by lot. Do not do so. For if thou dost do so, thou and thy sons will fall in the land, and be accursed through sedition. For by sedition ye have settled, and by sedition will thy children fall, and thou shalt be rooted out forever. Dwell not in the dwelling of Shem. See, this was the dwelling of Shem, the land from the river Euphrates, okay, and even more than that, unto the uh, river of Egypt. Okay, these were the lands of known as upper and lower, and I'll get into that ahead. Okay, so it says, Thou and thy children will be rooted out forever. Dwell not in the dwelling of Shem, for to Shem and to his sons did it come by their lot. So I'm gonna jump at 32, because 32 is very important. Verse 32. It says, Cursed art thou. So this Jubilees chapter 10, verse 32. Cursed art thou, and cursed shalt thou be beyond all the sons of Noah. Now you'll find this in Genesis 9. Genesis chapter 9, verse 25. For it says, By the curse by which we bound ourselves by an oath in the presence of the holy judge and in the presence of Noah our father. Okay. So again, something that Canaan shouldn't have did. Okay, Canaan messed up by doing this. So now I want to get into the land. Okay, pursuant to scripture, because I've been looking at Numbers 33 and 34 and Joshua 13 all the way to 21, Joshua chapter 13 all the way to chapter 21. And these precepts, this record, this narrative gives a very strong indication of where the actual land is. We can't just acquiesce to the academic standard. Okay, the world, I mean, you don't need me to tell you that the world has told us lies. The system, that is, and the people that control, that move and shake things. Okay, so Isaiah chapter 11. Now we're going to prove here where the Euphrates is possibly could be. And the Lord shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea. Okay, the Lord shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea. Let me get this, my scripture. Let me see. So I'm going to show you this as we, okay. So again, Isaiah chapter 11, verse 15, and the Lord shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind, okay, shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the seven streams, and make men go over dry shod. Now, the river that they call the Euphrates today does not appear to ever have had seven streams. Okay. However, the Mississippi, or what we know as the Mississippi today, it does. Okay. Seven major streams. A good ditty for this to remember, 7, Ramiat or Remiot, okay? Okay, you have the Red River, you got the Arkansas River, you got the Minnesota River, or the Missouri River, Salahi, the Missouri River, the Mississippi River being the fourth, the Illinois River, um, the Ohio River, and the Tennessee. So red, Arkansas, Missouri, okay, Minnesota, Illinois, Ohio, Tennessee rivers. 7 streams, 7 major streams, okay, that flow into the Mississippi and thus flow into the so-called Gulf of Mexico, or according to scripture would be the Egyptian Sea. Okay, just more ancient maps for us to view how things, and if you see here, okay, this here would have been uh, referred to as the Gulf of California today, but it would have been known as Yam Suf, okay, of reeds, Sea of Reeds, okay. Let me see, to next. Okay, so getting into uh more, it says, and now this is Second Kings. Now this is just like I said, we gotta kind of establish where things really are according to scripture. So here is 2 Kings chapter 24, verse 7. And the king of Egypt came not again any more out of his land, for the king of Babylon had taken from the river of Egypt unto the river Euphrates all that pertained to the king of Egypt. So we just established where the Euphrates is. So now we're looking for the river of Egypt. Okay, we know that another major river in America is the Colorado River. Okay, Colorado River. Okay, and so the Colorado River, it actually flows through or into, in our old map that you've seen, the California Gulf, right? So called today. Okay, and if I can get a hold of control of my map. Now, keep in mind, one thing I want to establish going forward, the Bent Rush stela, or the Bent Rush inscription, as well as the Tanis stela and the double staircase inscription, as well as the Serapeum stela, they will all prove where, or actually they will all correlate to the Hebraic translation of the word Egypt. Okay, Egypt meaning upper and lower. Actually, the Hebraic translation means land of the Copts, right? Like literally, the U.S. is full of Copts. Okay, double straits, upper, lower land. Okay, so in the Bent Rush inscription, what you have is you have carvings that are depicted on the ancient temple known as Abu Simbel in Northeast Africa, as well as an ancient ball court of the Olmec city known as Tajín, Mexico, or found in Tajín, Mexico. Okay, Bent Resh, being the name of a woman, her father was the chief over two lands known as Bekin or Bektin, upper, lower, right? Bekin or Bektin, as well as Keta, right? Referred to as the Northland or the Southland and the Northland, upper and lower. Okay, so right there, that's just quite characteristic of what you'll find when you find out what the Hebraic translation of the word Egypt or Mitzrayim or Matzaraim, okay, what that actually translates into, the land of the Copts. Okay, so Bent Resh, again, she's the daughter of a chief. The chief offers Pharaoh Ramesses to marry his daughter. So Bent Resh. So Ramesses comes, he marries Bent Resh. They return to Egypt. Subsequently, the chief, he has another daughter who is possessed by a demonic spirit. So he sojourns to Egypt in order to seek help. He explained on. So Ramesses, he sends an Egyptian priest to Bekin. Now keep in mind, Bekin is actually located. I know I was trying to show you about the Colorado River actually being the river of Egypt. So Bekin is actually found here in this area in the Yucatan Peninsula. Okay, you'll find Bekin in the Yucatan Peninsula, a word that's linguistically transposed. Nevertheless, and that's the way that they hide things, but you know, you got to kind of like dodge the hijack. Okay, that's all that's done in order to disorient or disorientate you from place names and ancient place names at that. So back to the fact of the matter, the priest, he sojourns to Bekin, which is located in the Yucatan Peninsula. Now, the first time around, he's unsuccessful in expelling the demonic spirit, so he returns to Egypt and retrieves a religious idol, and then he goes back to Bekin. Right now, in the Bent Resh inscription, it's recorded that that each journey is a 17-month long journey, so that's 34 months round trip. The second time around, the Egyptian priest, he stayed there for about 45 months. Okay, that's 3 years, 10 months. Okay, and if you tally up the 2-year and 10-month trip, it comes to 79 months. All of this is recorded in the Bent Resh inscription. Okay, now just to give a little bit more in depth of what is actually found or depicted on the ancient temple known as Abu Simbel in Northeast Africa, as well as the ancient ball court of the Olmec city, Tajín, Mexico. What you have is an Egyptian priest holding a stone talisman above what it appears to be a princess who is actually the daughter of the other daughter of the chief over the two lands. Okay, you'll find this depicted within within the Olmec city, Tajín, in Mexico. Okay, so this right here, again, it factors the Americas into the ancient narrative. Now, again, with the tannin stele, it involves Pharaoh Taharka, okay, and Pharaoh, as well as tall stairways of pyramids leading to temples on top of the pyramids. Okay, and now Pharaoh Taharka, speaking of himself, he says, "My father Ammon has placed all lands under my feet, the east as far as the rising of Re meaning, and the west as far as his setting." So we know that the sun sets in the west, the western hemisphere. What's in the west? The Americas. Okay, now keep in mind the tall staircases. The Tanis inscription or Tanistella, it actually correlates with um the double staircase inscription, where the double staircase inscription involves the pyramid of the sun. Okay, so on the pyramid of the sun, blessings are granted to Ramesses by an Egyptian deity. So it's recorded as saying, "Thou hast made an august residence to make strong the boundary of heaven. Okay, I put on thy crown with my own two hands when thou appearest upon the great double staircase." Okay, so on the pyramid of the sun, you'll see there's a hole where the sun actually beams through. And if you stand below there, it will appear as if you're wearing a crown. Okay, you'll find these step pyramids with temples atop, by and large, in the Americas. So again, more that factors the Americas into the ancient narratives. Okay, you got the Serapeum Stela too. Okay, that also records Nawaka. Okay, and Nawaka, it says Nawaka, God, conducted in peace to the west. I believe it's like the year. It says year 24, fourth month, second season. That is to say, the 8th month of the year, day 23. Okay, this was under Pharaoh Taharka at the time. Okay, and so when you read some of Sahagan's forbidden histories, now this is just more, I'm giving you more proving that the Americas is actually the Northland and the Southland referred to in these narratives. So when you read Sahagan's forbidden histories, Sahagan tells you that a Mexican told him that Teotihuacan was actually named by remnants of descendants of Mayans and Aztecs, who they say that Teotihuacan means street of the dead. Okay, road of the gods and burial place of rulers. And that they say basically that Teotihuacan being street of or the burial place of rulers, that it is said that when we die, we do not truly die because we live. We are alive because we um because we are because we still live, because we are brought back to life. Okay, because we are awakened. All right, so you have elders that also explain that they say basically that he who died became a god. So all of this you'll find referencing places in the Americas. Okay, I just wanted to give some background to it. Now, Egypt, again, well, actually not Egypt, but I was on the talking about the river of Egypt. Okay, what was found in that area, the Colorado River, is actually where the river of Egypt would be located, and in that area was found, or actually the Smithsonian did, and they have these artifacts in their possession, were Egyptian busts, right, of heads and what have you. Okay, no longer there, right, because the Smithsonian has whisked it away, and really, who knows where most of the artifacts that they found actually are. But if you can keep in mind, okay, the Colorado River being the actual river of Egypt, all the way to where the Mississippi is today, that being the Euphrates with its 7 streams. Okay, so So River of Egypt, Colorado River, or Grand Canyon, to the Mississippi Euphrates River, flowing into the Gulf of so-called Gulf of Mexico, actually the Egyptian Sea. Okay. So one thing that I want to bring to your attention as well, I think, did I go over this? Yes, perhaps. Okay, so just know that that Pharaoh that the king of Babylon smote at the time was referred to as Pharaoh Necho. Okay, this is just the precept to 2 Kings chapter 24, verse 7. Jeremiah 46, verse 2 is. Okay, and as you see here, ancient map, once you overlay it with what we have contemporarily, here you go. So more must have been, through the changes of land and fluctuation of water levels, more must have been visible at a certain point in time. Okay. Okay, now I want to get into Numbers chapter 33. Okay, and I'll just start remembering where Egypt is actually. North America being actually the referred to as the Northland, or the Southland rather, because the Egyptians, their orientation was actually backwards, or reverse. I wouldn't say backwards, reverse compared to what ours is today. Their north is our south, and their south is our north. Okay, so starting here, it says, I just want to go through the names actually, right? Not so much read. Let me see. I'll start at the top. These are the journeys of the children. So this is Numbers chapter 33. These are the journeys of the children of Israel, which went forth out of the land of Egypt, right? Upper lower, with their armies under the land of Moses and Aaron. And Moses wrote their goings out according to the journeys of the commandment of the Lord, and these are the journeys according to their goings out. And they departed from Ramesses. Now, Ramesses means child of the sun. Okay, that's what it will mean in the Hebrew. Okay, and we know the narrative. I just want to. You can read this on your own. I just want to really go over the names and what the names actually mean, because the names will get into. They will actually reveal certain geographical characteristics pursuant to the land. So we have that they removed from Ramesses, child of the sun, and pitched in Succoth. That's booths. They departed from booths and pitched in Athum. With them their plowshares, what Athum means. Okay, and that's in the edge of the wilderness. Let me see. So we can imagine at that time, this would have been located in North America. Okay. This would have been located somewhere. As I said, they found artifacts in the Grand Canyon region. I mean, they found like an overwhelming amount of artifacts, Egyptian artifacts in the Grand Canyon area. So is it so far-fetched to say that Egypt was here? Okay, especially when you pair it with scripture. Okay, so if they left booths, Sukkoth was in this area. Okay, so they departed from Sukkoth and pitched in Atham. I'm in Numbers chapter 33, verse 6. Atham is with them their plowshare. Okay, so if you can, and it says that it was in the edge of the wilderness. Madabar, okay, wilderness. Now, again, if we escape uniformitarianism, we got to remember the land didn't always look the way it does. Okay, so that's two terms I want us to keep in mind going forward: uniformitarianism and the linguistic transposition of words. Okay, so they removed from Itham with them their plowshare. Okay, and turned again unto Pi Hachiroth, meaning mouth of caverns, a place adorned with green grass, where sedge grows. Okay, which is before Baal Zephon, that's Lord North, and they pitched before Magadal Tower. So somewhere right about in this area, because we know that they're getting ready to cross Yam Suf, okay, the Red Sea, so-called Red Sea of reeds. And what's quite characteristic of where California is today, and this so-called Gulf of California, you have red tide. Both of these areas experience a high amount of red tide. Located right off the coast of California. Located, you'll find this in the location of La Jolla, right? I know I used to live out in Cali. Okay, La Jolla. Where am I at? Let me see. So they made a 3-day journey. Now, like I said, it's quite characteristic what you'll find here. You'll find reeds in the area of the Gulf of California. Okay, and the land, like as I said, the land didn't always look the way that it does, now. Okay, so somewhat like this is what we would find on the map. However, I'm going to tell you that the Red Sea perhaps didn't go so far up. Okay, there was a way for them to cross. They crossed, and then they were able to turn back without having to cross through any water. Okay, so I'm in verse 8 or verse 9. Let's see, verse 8. So I'll start at verse 8. It says, "And they departed from Pi-hahiroth and passed through the midst of the sea into the wilderness." Okay, so they would have passed through the northwestern part of the United States, what we know as the United States today, bordered with Mexico, and they would have entered went through the land of California. And you got to keep in mind, well, it was a lot of people, right? This was a 40-year journey. This just didn't happen in a couple of days. Okay, so it says, and they remove, let me see. So they passed through the midst of the sea, Yam Suf, into the wilderness, and went 3 days' journey in the wilderness of Itham. Right? Now, I don't take everything as being totally accurate. Like I said, I'm not above error. However, the one thing that I am sure of is that Scripture actually proves the Exodus, Israel, Gilead as being in the Americas as well as the continent of Africa. Okay. So back to our Google Earth map. Okay, so if, as we can see, some land does appear right, beneath the water, according to Google Earth, right? And I'm one to tell you as well that Lemuria and Atlantis are also a real dynamic or part of or lands that have existed once before. However, due to the fluctuation of or the rising of sea levels, we don't see those lands anymore. Proof of that is uh, what researchers have found off the coast of YAH, Cuba, a temple buried, okay, 650 meters or so. That's about 2,000 feet below sea level. So this here ought to raise your suspicion as to lands that, what about the lands that are, that these lands, Atlantis, Lemuria, so on and so forth, is it so far-fetched that they could have existed? If you find temples such like Bimini Road buried that are hidden from view by the increase in or the rise in water levels. Two sources highlight what Solon or what Plato wrote about, and many people don't. They believe Plato to be a pseudo. However, his uncle Solon, grand uncle Solon, and I believe in the year 600 BC, because Plato wrote about these things in the 4th century BC, right? And they were handed down to him, right, according to certain sources. When you read Graham Hancock's Fingerprint of the Gods, as well as Dr. David Imhotep, the first Americans were Africans, right? They highlight the narrative of Solon actually visiting an Egyptian priest named Senkis. Okay, and Senkis told him of a catastrophe that happened that caused Atlantis to sink, which in fact we know that water levels just rose. They increase, right, giving the appearance of Atlantis sinking. Okay, this is according to Solon, right? And the Egyptian priest told him these things occurred 9,000 years or 11,000 years from that time period. You know, placing the event somewhere in the range of 11,600 BC. So I want to get back to my map. Uh, I believe we left off at. See, it's a lot to cover because many lies have been you know, when you tell a lie so many times, the truth is just, it seems absurd. Okay, so, and especially like that's why I said we have to escape uniformitarianism, guys. We gotta kind of like, you know, get out of that in order to be able to see what especially what the scriptures is trying to tell us. Okay, so I'm gonna start in verse 9, or actually verse 8 again, and it says they departed from Piakiroth and passed through the midst of the sea into the wilderness and went 3 days' journey in the wilderness of Athum, that's with them their plowshare, and pitched in Marah. Now Marah is bitterness, brackish waters. Okay, they removed from Marah and came into Alim. Alim meaning palm trees. You'll find palm trees all in the area of California. Okay. Um, it says, and in Alim were 12 fountains of water, and 70, that's 70 palm trees, and they pitched there. So they removed from Alim and encamped by the Red Sea, Yam Suf. If we can believe that Yam Suf is the place Yam Suf in the or Red Sea in the area of Gulf of California. Okay, so verse 11 it says, and they removed from the Red Sea and encamped in the wilderness of Sin. Now we know Nevada today they refer to it as Sin City. Okay, again, sometimes the truth is hidden in plain sight. Okay, sin, the Hebrew translation is thorns and clay. Now, Nevada is very characteristic of thorns and clay. Okay, you'll find thorns and clay littered in Nevada. So the Madbar Sin. Okay, and they took their journey out of the wilderness of Sin and encamped in Dovka. That's knocking. Okay, and they departed from Dovka and encamped in Alush. So Dovka perhaps was somewhere here, right? And then they encamped in Alush, meaning I will need bread or a crowd of men. And they removed from Alush and encamped at Rephidim, resting stays, right? Where there was no water for the people to drink. And they departed from Rephidim and pitched in the wilderness of Sinai. Now, Sinai, what we'll find here, we'll find Sinai right here, linguistically transposed, Sinaloa, Mexico. Okay, and in Sinaloa, Mexico, the area, right, Sinai simply means thorns. You'll find various thorns in Sinaloa. Okay, and so they pitched that they removed from Sinai and pitched in Kibroth Hata'ava, that's graves of lust. They departed from that area and encamped in Hazaroth, which is settlements. They departed from settlements and pitched in Rithma, heaths, right? Or open areas of uncultivated land is what heaths can be defined as. And they departed from heaths and pitched in Ramon Perez, meaning pomegranate of the breach. Now, in this area here, I believe this part, Michoacan, you'll find pomegranates. This place is very, it produces pomegranates, or somewhere in this area, if I'm correct. Okay, so now they left that area, and it says they departed from pomegranate of the breach, or Ramon Perez, and pitched in Libna. That's pavement of whiteness. Now, pavement of whiteness or transparency is what Libna is referred to as. And there is a geographical characteristic that is very indicative of Libna. And let me see. Okay, so there's pardon me, guys. Okay, so there's so many geographical or so much geography to cover. Sometimes certain things slip my mind. However, anyway, what's very characteristic about Libna, you'll find in the area in Mexico, in the Sierra Madre del Sur, in Guerrero, the district of Guerrero, Mexico. You'll see the pavement, and it appears as if it's transparent or it's white, actually. So the Guerrero district, which is I want to say it's right here. This is it here, somewhere in here, right? where am I at now? Oh, Libnah. Okay, so they removed from Libnah and they pitched in uh, Risa, meaning dripping to pieces, of like ruins, a place dripping to pieces, or that appears to have dew or fall of dew. Okay, and what's characteristic about that is you'll find a place like that in Oaxaca, Mexico, this area of Mexico here. The Sierra Madre de Oaxaca. Okay, you'll see petrified waterfalls. This area is very characteristic of petrified waterfalls in a place called Hierve el Agua in the central valleys of Oaxaca. Okay, Mexico. So they journeyed. It says they journeyed from Risa, right, and pitched in Kilahatha or Kihalatha, meaning assemblies. And they went from Kihalatha assemblies and pitched in Mount Shapar. Now, if we already came to the conclusion that what was from what was before us, or whatever, what already we passed by, we journeyed by, as we begin to look at the mountain ranges in the Chiapas, we'll begin to see, because Shafar just simply means beauty, elegance, and this area is characteristic of that. Okay. Okay, and so it says, and they encamped after that. They removed from that area and they encamped in Harada, meaning terror, fear. That's what Harada means. They removed from Harada, terror, fear, and pitched in Makaloth, meaning place of assembly. They removed from there and encamped at Tahath. Now, I appreciate it if you can stay the course with me here, family, because this can it can appear to be, it's very interesting to me. However, it can I'm aware that it can be monotonous to others. Okay. And it says after that they removed from Terafir or Harada and they pitched in Makiloth. I visited that. So they removed from Makiloth, which is a place of assembly, and encamped at Tahath, meaning a station of a lower part, that which is, beneath, below, under. And then they removed from that area, and then they pitched in Tara, meaning delay station. They removed from delay station or Tara and pitched in Mithka. Mithka meaning sweetness, a sweet fountain. And Mithka is what's characteristic also about Mithka is that Mithka is located close to where Mount Hor is, where priest Aaron ascended and became an ancestor. Okay, so we know that they pitched at Mithka. Now, what we'll find about Largo Cocibolca, that the natives there, they termed it such. It means sweet sea, or it's actually fresh water. Okay, it's a very vast body of water. The Spanish, they've termed it Mar Dulce, also meaning sweet sea. Okay. So after Mithka, they pitched at Kashmona, meaning fatness. Fatness. Okay. And like I said, these names, they are very characteristic of the geographical features. So we got to keep that in mind. It's not so much, obviously not a person, however, but think of, and not really the place, not the name of a place, but the characteristics of a place, the geographical characteristics of that place. Okay, so then it says they departed from Krashmona, which is fatness, and encamped at Mozaroth. That's corrections bonds. They left that area and then they pitched in Bani Ya'akan, meaning sons of twisting. Okay, Ya'akan, and you'll find there are videos out there that discuss the Akan actually being located or inhabiting certain parts of the Americas. Okay, they encamped there and then they removed from there and then they encamped at a place called Khor Gigad or Khor Hagigad, meaning cavern of thunder. Okay, cavern of thunder, and then they removed from there and then they pitched at Yothbata. Yothbata meaning pleasantness, goodness, a place that's pleasant and good. Okay, then after that, Ibrona. Okay, Ibrona meaning passage of the sea. So I find it very interesting that Ibrona would be somewhere here in this area, because this does serve, Central America does serve as a passage through the sea. If we're really looking at this with our geographical lenses. Okay, because now right after that, they encamp at a place called Ezion Gabar, right in the 35th verse. Numbers, the 33rd chapter and the 35th verse. They encamped at Ezion Gabar. Okay, meaning a man's backbone. Now again, we got to think geographical characteristics. What is very indicative of the land involving a man's backbone? The Andes is mountain, as we can see, and it does appear to be a man's backbone in South America. Okay, now if you think this doesn't prove much, there's more. It says, and then they pitched. Now this is where I've been wanting to get to. It says, and then they pitched in the wilderness of Sin, the wilderness of flatness. Now, what you'll find quite characteristic of Tzin, meaning flatness, is that the area, it does serve as far as distance. It goes for a long way, and it serves as an area that's very flat for a very, very, very long distance. Okay, as much as I could say. So it says here, I want to use this source here. As you can see, it says the American Negroes of Cuarenga in Choco, the Great. I came across this. Ask me, I don't know how, but this right here is something that would kind of like pique the mind and interest. It says the Great Level Plain, 900 miles long. Okay, did I skip? Let me see. Yeah. Okay, so it says the American Negroes of Cuarenga in Choco, the Great Level Plain, 900 miles long, 90 miles wide. That's a very vast area. Okay, separating the Andes with woolly heads in 1506. They are mentioned. Let me see. Separating the Andes of South America from the mountains of Panama. Okay. That is this area here. That is this flat area here. Right? Separating the mountains of the Andes. Okay. from that of Panama, this flat land. 900 miles. Okay, we're talking about the wilderness of Tzin. Okay, uh, so verse 37. Okay, 36, and it says, which is in Kadesh. So Madabar Tzin is in Kadesh, right, or a set apart place, right? And some have said that when you look at Kadesh, the word linguistically transposed is Kohedes, okay, if it'll come up. However, Kohedes is in this vicinity here, this area here of Venezuela, Kodesh, or Kadesh, or Kadash. Okay, so they removed from Kadesh and they pitched in Mount Hor. Okay, and what do you know? There's a mountain right next to the area. Now, this could very well be Mount Hor. Okay, this area here. So if they remove from Tzin, flatness, to Tzin, and they pitched in this area here, somewhere here, this could be the biblical Mount Hor. Okay. Now, Mount Hor just simply, it was a place that was inhabited by the Edomites of Idumea. Okay, this is the area where priest Aaron ascended, and he became, according to the Most High, this is where he was supposed to be put to rest. Go ahead, this ain't coming up for nothing. Okay, here it is. And what you'll find is that the area here, the greater area, is also referred to as Cohetes. Okay. Okay, so we're almost through Numbers 33. I appreciate it. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the journey with me, family. So it says, and then they departed from Mount Hor, and they pitched in Zalmonah. Okay, Zalmonah meaning a shady place. A shady place. Now I'll tell you why all of what we've read before matters as we get to what we're about to get to. It says, then they departed from Zalmonah, meaning fatness, and they pitched in Bunan, meaning darkness. They pitched in the place that was characteristic of darkness. Right? Perhaps all of this lush area, it creates a dark kind of shade. Okay, if you can think about it from that perspective. And they pitched, then after they left, when they left Punan, which is darkness, it says they pitched in Oboth, meaning Oboth simply means water skins or bottles. Okay, now, and according to certain narratives, which you will find that's very interesting about that is the Olmecs, about 4,000 years ago, they were referred to as the rubber people. They were known for making bottles from rubber or water skins, right? From rubber. Okay, this area here, all the way up to the Yucatan Peninsula, okay, makes that quite, it solidifies it, makes it quite believable. Okay, so these are things that, again, I don't want to really convince you, I just get you to consider. Okay, so then it says, and they departed from Mount Hor and they pitched in Zalmonah, got that. Okay, so verse 44, then when they left Oboth, they pitched in Iye Abarim, meaning ruins of regions beyond. Okay, so if you remember the narrative, they couldn't go through Esau's land. because the Edomites came out and would permit them passage. If you look at the name Venezuela, that is very characteristic. Looking at the name Vin, meaning son, Ezu, Esau, son of Esau. Okay, son of Esau. Okay, Venezuela. So this right here could have possibly been the well, I'm saying, to me, I'm sure it was. However, to you out there, um, could have well possibly been the land inheritance of Esau, the Hebrew Edomite. 5 classifications of Hebrews, guys. Okay, Hebrew Israelite, Hebrew Edomite, Hebrew Ishmaelite, Hebrew Moabite, Hebrew Ammonite. Okay. So when they left Abarim, so like I said, they couldn't go straight through. And it says the children became, when you read the narrative, the children became, uh, demoralized, because, man, it would have been a better journey, easier journey. They had to go around. So they went around, and they journeyed near the Arnon, known as the Amazon River today. The what's quite characteristic about that is they refer to the Arnon still as El Rio Marañón. I mean, you can't get any closer to Arnon than that. Okay, El Rio Marañón. You see if I can get a name. Okay, so it doesn't say it there. Here we go. Marañón River. El Rio Marañón. This is the Arnon. This is the biblical Arnon River, spoken about in Numbers chapter 21, verse 24, along with the Jabbok. I'll be showing you that shortly. Okay, so as I said, the children of Yysraayl, they journeyed this way. Okay. They reached Oboth. I believe it might have been somewhere in this area. And then they made it to Abarim. Okay, and it said they departed from Aim and pitched in the Dibon Gad. So they crossed the Jordan now. According to, now we see the Atlantic as we see it today. However, according to continental drift and, again, the rise of sea levels, this makes this quite unbelievable. Okay, because this, in certain cases, it shouldn't have been such a long journey. We know to cross the Atlantics, I believe it is 6 weeks or 8 weeks, six weeks at best, right? 8 weeks, 9 weeks at the most. So they crossed over the Atlantic, and they arrived at a place called Dibon Gad, meaning wasting pining of a town on the borders of Moab, on the northern shore of Arnon. This was a place that was built and restored by the Gadites, whence it was called Dibon Gad. And then afterwards it was occupied, granted to the Reubenites, and then after that it was afterwards it was occupied by the Moabites again. Hence the term Diban. So we'll find a place here in Côte d'Ivoire named Divo. Linguistically transposed, Dibon. Here it is right here. See, so not so far from the coastline. Dibon, or Dibon. And then they encamped in Almon de Blaftaim, meaning a place 2 fig cakes. Okay. It says, and then they removed from Almon de Blaftaim 2 fig cakes and pitched in the mountains of Abar. Now Abarim, meaning regions beyond, it says, which is before Nebo. So I find it very, again, interesting that here in this region, Liberia, that shares a border with Cote d'Ivoire as well as Guinea, it is a place known as Mount Nimba, a UNESCO, a site that is quote unquote owned. Okay, you'll find these people everywhere that there's a place that's holds significance. They're there. They so-called own it. Okay. Mount Nimba before Mount Nebo. Nebo meaning to simply prophet, interpreter of the gods, and declarer of their will. Okay. Nebo. Okay, Mount Nimba. This is Mount Nimba here. Perhaps the place where Moshe was went to be with the Most High. Okay, where am I at now? So Numbers 38, chapter 30, the 38, the Numbers, the 33rd chapter, the 48th verse. It says, then they departed from Abarim, and then they pitched in the plains of Moab by Jordan. Okay. Near Yaricho. Okay. Now, like I said, that the lands must have been closer together. They must have been closer together, a lot closer together. Because if they left this area, they would have pitched somewhere perhaps here. And I'll show you why, because we find Yaricho, we find it here. See, Yaricho Akoara. This is the biblical Jericho. Yaricho Akoara. Okay. So it does fit, because if they would have left Nimba here in Liberia, they would have moved south and pitched by Yaricho Akoara, okay, which is the area where they would have camped at would have been on the other side of Yaricho, being here in today's Liberia. Okay, so now just very briefly, I want to visit Numbers 34. And Numbers 34 is quite broad, you know. It just gives you land, boundaries, borders. So it basically says, now Moses is speaking to the children. He's saying, command the children of Israel, saying to them, I'm in Numbers 34, verse 2. When you come into the land of Canaan. Now remember, this would be referred to as the land of Canaan for all intents and purposes, right? Upper and lower. Okay? Upper and lower. Canaan. Okay, when you come into the land of Canaan, the lowland, so this would have perhaps been the land of Canaan, because, or perhaps, right? Lowland, that's what Canaan means, lowland. This is the land that shall fall unto you by inheritance. It says, even the land of Canaan with the coast thereof. Okay, so perhaps this would have been the land here, the southland. This is the land spoken of in Scripture. Your south quarter shall be from the wilderness of Zin. Now we established Zin is up here, the flat area that separates Panama from the Andes Mountains. Flat here, right? It says, so it shall be from the wilderness of Zin along by the coast of Edom, Edom being here, Venezuela today, and your south border shall be the outmost coast of the Salt Sea. Okay, so the south border down here, the Salt Sea. Now, the Antarctic Sea is the most saltiest body of water on the planet. Okay, the Antarctic. Okay, so it says, the south border shall be the outmost coast of the Salt Sea eastward. Okay, your south border shall be the outmost coast of the Salt Sea eastward. So as far south, eastward. Okay, you don't go no more east than here. Okay, the very tip of Argentina eastward is the south border. Okay, and your border shall turn from the south to the ascent of Akrabim, meaning the ascent of scorpions, and pass on to Zin. So we'll go from the ascent of scorpions, right, and go on back up to Zin, flatness. And the going forth thereof shall be from the south of Kadesh Barneah, meaning a set apart desert city in the wilderness, desert of a fugitive, extreme south of Judah. So this was all inherited by Judites. And we'll, of course, I can tell you why right now Cusco, Sacsayhuaman, is Jerusalem. Right? Not one brick shall be left upon another, according to the Mashiach. In Matthew chapter 24, verse 2. Okay, and it says, verse 4, and shall go on to Chatzar Adar, that is the village enclosure of glory, and pass on to Atzmon. So again, when we look at the land, it's quite characteristic of the word. Now, Atzmon means bone-like strong, robust. This gives the image of being bone-like strong, robust, Atzmon. Okay, and the border shall fetch a compass from Atzmon unto the river of Egypt. And remember, we established that the river of Egypt is what's known as the Colorado today, flowing into the California Gulf. So Judah had a heavy inheritance. Okay, Judah's inheritance was from the southernmost tip of what we call Argentina today, all the way to the northern borders of Mexico that are established today, right? And it says, and the goings out of it shall be at the sea. It says, and as for the western border, ye shall even have the great sea for a border. So when you look at the Pacific Ocean, it's very characteristic of being a very large body of water, great sea. Okay, Yam Gadol. Yam Gadol. Okay, it says, and so this, let me see. So verse 6, so your western border, you shall even have the great sea for a border. So the western border for Yysraayl, okay, it didn't go any further west than the Great Sea. It stopped here, okay, where there's visible land. Okay, this great sea or Pacific Ocean or Yam Gadol was the western border of Israel. Okay, it says, this shall be your west border, verse 7, and this shall be your north border from the great sea. Ye shall point out for you Mount Hor. So we established where Mount Hor was, the mountain range in the vicinity of Venezuela, Mount Hor. Okay, or what we refer to as Venezuela today. And it says, verse 8, it says, from Mount Hor ye shall point out your border unto the entrance of Kamath, that's the fenced citadel or walled fortress. Now it's believed that the temples that were constructed here, the Pyramid of the Sun, so on and so forth, located in Teotihuacan, these were a very heavy constructed fortified structure. So this right here could have been the north coast now, or the northern border. Now you got to keep in mind, according to scripture, these borders overlapped. So your south border would have overlapped with your north border. Okay, it says in from Mount Hor, let me see, it's 9. From Mount Hor ye shall point out your border unto the entrance of Hamath, and the goings forth of the border shall be to Sedad. Sedad meaning mountainside. Sedad meaning side or mountainside. Okay, so we have right here the goings out of the border, or Totsa'ath, right? The goings out shall be at the north border, at Sedad, the north border, starting at the north border, going up, okay, or going out, Totsa'ath. Okay, now verse 9, it says, and the border shall go on to Zephron. Zephron meaning fragrance, sweet smell. Now, what you'll find in the area of Mount Shasta in California, it's a very sweet smell in that area created by nature. It's a very sweet smell, unlike anywhere else. This is quite characteristic of the Hebrew word Zephron, meaning sweet smell. Okay, and the goings forth out of it shall be at Katsar Inan, meaning double spring, double fountain. So as we establish our what border are we at? The north border, establishing the north borders. It's saying here, let me get the numbers. You can see it in the Hebrew. So it says in the Hebrew, Wayatzav ha-gabol, the border, go out of the border, Tsafarona, Wahio, Totsa'athyo, Chatzar, Ayinan, Za Yahya, Lakam, Gabul, Zafon. Okay. So yes. So going out, this word here, Totsa'ath, Totsa'athyo. Okay. Totsa'athyo meaning going out, to extend out, to extend across. Okay. Shall go out. Let's see, where was I at? Okay, so from, if you can imagine it, from Mount Shasta area, Zephron, this is the north border. Okay, remembering in Genesis chapter 15 and 18, the Lord told Abram, he made a covenant with him. I'm going to give you your seed the lands from the river Egypt unto the river Euphrates. And if you can even remember more than that, what the Most High says, He'll pour out a blessing that's so that you can't even contain. So He gave Abraham even more than that. He gave Abraham what He said He would give him plus more. Okay, because the boundaries, they exceed the river Egypt as well as the Euphrates. So here's Shasta. Okay. Okay, here's Mount Shasta or Shasta. Okay, and it says Totsa'at Yo. Okay, it will go across to Chatsarinan. Okay, and you'll find quite interesting that the area in what we know as the Niagara Falls, it gives you the idea or feel of a double fountain, a double spring. Okay, because there are many fountains here, and there are many springs as well. Okay, Niagara Falls area, all these places that people visit, and right up under your feet, you know, uh, you don't suspect it. It's hidden in plain sight, right? To coin the term or to use the term. And so, verse 9 it says, "And it shall be your north border." So this is the north border. Okay, from Shasta to the Niagara Falls area or region. Okay, so and it says, "And ye shall point out," verse 10, "and ye shall point out your east border." Now that was just north and south. Now your east border from Chatsarinan to Shaphem. Now, very interesting enough, from Chatsarinan, double spring, double fountain, unto Shaphem. Now Shaphem in the Hebrew means bald nakedness. Look at the land. This is something that refers to the land, not a female, not a man, not a person. No, not something, your blessing. No, this is the land. Shaphem. It's bald at the top in Africa. Okay, bald nakedness, like your skin. It has hair underneath. If your hair is the grass, your skin is the land. Well, what happened to the grass? What happened to the hair on the northern part of Africa? It's bald. It's Shaphem. Okay, right, and it says, "And the coast shall go down from Shaphem, or bald nakedness, to Riblah," meaning fruitful fertility. Now, when you look at Africa here, Africa is very special, by the way, guys. Okay, when you look at Africa, as you go south, Africa it starts to become lush. This is fruitful fertility here, the greenery. Ribla, fruitful fertility. It says, "And on the east side of Ain, of Ayanan," okay, or Ayan, okay, Ayan meaning spring fountain or fountain spring, okay. And if you look at a place here, okay, located in United Arab Emirates today, or perhaps, oh yeah, Al Ain. Okay, so on the east side of Ain, okay. So is this saying that Ribla is on the east side of Ain? No, because then that wouldn't make sense, right? So perhaps, okay, as we see Ribla, fruitful fertility. Where am I at? North border. So it's letting us know the coast. So this is referencing the coast. It says, so, and the coast shall go down from Shephim. So this is baldness, naked baldness, Shephim, bald nakedness, to Riblah, meaning fruitful fertility. This is the coast. This is all Africa. All Africa belongs to Yysraayl. All of it. Okay? This is not the place of Ham. Ham was supposed to settle somewhere else, or perhaps even in and amongst us, but the name wasn't supposed to be, or Canaan rather, the name wasn't supposed to be named, the land was supposed to be named Canaan. It wasn't supposed to be named Canaan. Okay? So the coast, this is referring to the coast. The coast shall go down from Shephim, naked bald, or bald nakedness. Again, we're not talking about a woman. We're not talking about your blessing. We're not talking about a man. We're talking about the land. The word is characteristic to the land. Shephim, bald nakedness. This is northern Africa where there's no lushness at, hardly any. Okay? And down the coast, it goes all the way up north, and the coast descends. Right? It comes down to Riblah, meaning fruitful fertility, the coast. And on the east side of Ain, we're talking about the coast. We're talking about the coast. The east side of Ain. So perhaps here, the United Arabs of Emirates, the United Arab Emirates, Al Ain, right? Or Allah Ayan, meaning fountain of the Lord, of God. We got it? Okay, that's referring to the coast. And the border shall descend. So it's going to descend. The border is going to descend, or the coast is, the border is going to descend by the coast. And it shall reach into the side of the Sea of Kinnereth. Now, as you get further into study and research, or perhaps you're already there, or perhaps you're well beyond, you will find out, you will come to find out, or you already know that the great African Rift Valley, come up, you can come. The great African Rift Valley, it composes, sure, go ahead, Pa. The great African Rift Valley, it's composed of or it consisted of lakes that were 3,000 miles in length. That's bigger than the United States, than North America. Okay, keep that in mind. The Great African Rift Valley consisted of lakes and bodies of water that were 3,000 miles long, bigger than the North America, the United States, what we know as the United States today. In fact, many of these places can fit into Africa, okay, as you see. So the Great African Rift Valley here in this area, but look at all of these countries that can fit into Africa, according to the map's actual depiction by Peter's projection. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. The Sea of Kinnereth. Now, Kinnereth in the Hebrew simply means harp, harps, lyres, harps plural, lyres plural. A lyre is an instrument. Now, the lyres are the people actually that said that this place is located somewhere else. However, in this case, we're not talking about that kind of we're not referring to that. We're referring to an instrument. A lyre is an instrument, okay, similar to a harp. And as you can see, the land, it shapes itself. It's shaped actually into a harp. The lakes, okay. The Sea of Kinnereth. Now this is where are we at so far? This is the border. This is the east border. It says so Numbers, the 34th chapter, the 11th verse, and the coast shall go down from Shephim, that's bald nakedness, to Riblah, that's fruitful fertility. On the east side, the coast shall be on the east side of Ayan, meaning uh, uh, spring fountain, right? Located today in United Arab Emirates, that's Al Ayan, fountain of God, okay? In the United Arab of Emirates today. It says, the border shall descend, right? We're still referring to the coast and the border shall descend and shall reach the side of the sea of Kinnereth eastward. So we're looking at Kinnereth eastward, okay? This is the east side, or our right as we're looking at this, okay? Okay, so, uh, Papa, Papa, Bashakar a little bit, okay? Okay, so it says, so, the east side of Kinnereth, okay? Verse 11, eastward. The border shall go on the east side of Kinnereth eastward, okay? Eastward, Kadama, Kadama. Okay, and the border, verse 12, and the border shall go down to Jordan and the go, okay, and if, like I said, Jordan, the border, uh, okay, so the border shall go down the east, it shall be eastward of Kinnereth, or Kadama, and it shall descend and go down into the Jordan. This is the Jordan, the Atlantic Ocean is biblical Jordan. Okay, so all of Africa was Yashara'Allah, biblical land, Gabul, okay? All of it, okay? As well as North America and South America, 3 continents. I'm establishing this in scripture. And it says in the goings, finishing out verse 12, and the goings, it says, and the border shall go down to Jordan, that's descender. Jordan just means descender. That in fact, which in fact, the Atlantic Ocean, some of its current, it does descend into the Antarctic Ocean. Okay, very characteristic of Jordan, descender. Okay, and the goings out of it shall be at the salt sea. This shall be your land with the coast thereof round about. So Moses is giving them, he's giving them the word of the Lord Almighty, right, and the land inheritance. 9 tribes. Let me see. Okay, so it stops there. So that's the borders of Israel. But the borders of Yashara'Allah, okay, according to scripture, not what's being told to us, okay? No, according to scripture, the scripture is telling us by place names and what the place names actually mean matched up with the geographical characteristics, okay? Okay, so North America is Egypt, okay? And you've got to remember, these are just 2 continents, not 3 the way that they would allow us to believe. These are 2 land masses here, actually. We got North America and parts of Central America, right? And then parts of Central America attached to South America. 2 lands. Okay, 2 lands, not 3, 2 lands. Central America is broken up in between North and South lands, okay? All right. That includes and the Caribbean is within North America. Okay, so 3 lands. Ancient Yashara'Allah comprised of 3 lands, okay? With the Atlantic Sea or the Atlantic Ocean being the Jordan, the descender. Okay, the Antarctic Ocean being the uh, Malakyam, okay, or Salt Sea. Okay, now I wanted to, as quickly as possible, me see. I want to give you Milo, which is 2 Samuel chapter 5. Okay, so here we go. Milo. Okay, you got to remember Milo, because this gets even more interesting. It gets even more interesting when you look at Cusco. Okay, the fighting between people who subscribe to only the Americas, to only Africa, that it has to stop, guys. Zephaniah 2:1, right? It has to stop. Okay, because we have to gather together. We are going to be forced to gather. I mean, would you rather gather together on your own or be forced to? I know me, I'm a proactive. I try to be proactive. Okay. So I try to do things without being told. Okay, I try to act in advance of future events. I try to do that. Zephaniah 2:1, gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired, before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. Yahweh, okay? He who exists, gather together. Seek the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Okay, okay, so as you can see, we're in Cusco. And this is the area here known as Sacsayhuaman, according to its geographical feature. Okay, be patient with me, fam bam. Okay, and here we go. So it says, finishing on Zephaniah, the 2nd chapter, the 3rd verse. Seek righteousness. Let me start up from the top. It says, seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness. Seek meekness. Seek meekness, please, my people, as well as the stranger. Ahabraba. Okay, Ani Ahabraba. Okay, Ani Ahabraba lakam. My love is to you all. Seek meekness. Okay, please, Baba Kusha. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. Okay, because the Lord's anger is soon to come. Okay, so we're looking at what would actually have been the temple. According to Matthew 24:2, no, Yehoshua said, no stone shall be left upon another. Look at it. And we're looking at the holies of what appears to be the holies of holies. Can I just, yeah, okay, that's better. Okay, and notice, I want to show you something. Look what they put there. An idol of Caesar Borgia. Okay? Why would they do that? Ask yourself that. Why would they do that? Why would they put an idol, that tall statue of Caesar Borgia, on what is the Holy Land or set apart land? Right? Okay, now this wall is what I want to get into. This is Milo. The 3 zigzagging wall, the wall that the Jebusites have fortified themselves with. And this is, I wanted to read to you 2 Samuel. Again, Torah for hanging in there with me. For kicking it with me this long. I hope I'm not, I hope this message is able to reach someone out there. And I hope it's that my truth is, that my labor is not in vain. I pray that it's not in vain. Where am I at? Okay, so this is the wall. Okay, I want to get the Milo. Okay, you can read 2 Samuel chapter 5 for yourselves, but however, what's referenced in verse 9 of the 5th chapter of 2 Samuel is Milo. It's a rampart or a mound. Now, doesn't this appear to be a rampart or a mound? Okay, got it. Okay, look at the zigzagging walls. Let me come out of here and show you better, get a better view. Okay, we're gonna do it from the outside, perhaps. That's good enough right there. Okay. Look at the wall. This is Milo. Now, when the Spanish conquistadors arrived here, they took everything that they could. They would have took these stones if they could, but they couldn't, because these stones are estimated in weight well past a long ton. A long ton meaning 2,200 pounds. That's 2,200 pounds. Okay? You can't move this stuff. Look at it. So I'm just getting you can go and visit this place. Hey, listen, if you don't have the passport and money, go to Google Earth. They you know, hey, that's how I travel sometimes myself. Sometimes. Google Earth. But as you see, you can see here the you can see the zigzagging structure. There are 3 walls in a zigzag. This is Milo. Okay. Okay, again, a rampart or a mound. Okay, the citadel. It's a part of a citadel. Rampart mound built up and filled in with stones, with stones, with stones, with stones. Built up and filled in with stones. Heavy, 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 heavy stones. Okay? Stones that you can't move. This place is fortified. It's war ready. Okay, with a warlike nation in obeisance to Yahweh, okay? Bahashim Hamashiach Yahoshua, okay? This place is war ready. If we are obedient to the Most High, is war ready. Look at it, right? In those times, especially in those times, it was, and it's still war ready. If you look at the stones, even with some of them being knocked down, okay? You take the proper amount of cover of like how I was taught. Okay, I'm up. They see me. I'm down. So again, this is a place, an area that's built up and filled in with stones. Okay, right here, filled in with stones and earth. Okay, so this is it's a joyous occasion to actually be able to see a place, see where the biblical lands are when you read, when you're able to read scripture and get into scripture and enjoy it and really meditate into it. Especially the Hebrew, the Lashon Hakadash, okay, Lashon Hakadash. Pardon me, fam bam. Okay, and again, this was the area. This was Jerusalem. This was the temple. right? I don't think I got a chance to show you Idri. Idri is just simply uh where it's at today. It's Ibri, okay? Idri meaning goodly pasture, a strong arm place, a place that's strong. Okay, and I didn't show you Jabak. In fact, you come out of here. So that is the temple, right? Not according to scripture again. If you have biblical Arnan in the area, and then you have the Jabak that's not too far away, bear with me, Fam Bam. Okay. Now we already established the Amazon as being Arnan. It again, this it fits scripture with precision, or script this place it fits scripture with precision. The land it features here in South America, and so if you can see Bahia do Oiapoque or Oiapoque, okay, it's Portuguese, okay, Portuguese. Okay, and you can see it there, the Oyapock River, Jabbok. This is the biblical Jabbok, right? Okay, referenced here in Numbers 21, chapter 24. And Israel smote them with the edge of the sword and possessed his land from Arnon. Okay, this is Sihon, and the Amorites. Okay, and his land. So they possessed his land from Israel. It says, and Israel smote him with the edge of the sword and possessed his land from Arnon unto Jabbok, even unto the children of Ammon, for the border of the children of Ammon was strong. Okay. Okay, and so I wanna say, why is all of this is important? It's important because we got to remember the Most High put his name there. Again, it's according to scripture. So Second Chronicles chapter 6 verse 6, it conveys that to us. But I have chosen Jerusalem, that my name might be there, and have chosen David to be over my people Israel. So the question that I have to ask many, and that I'm always asking, right, in a very meek manner, very sincere manner, not for debate and strife, however, just to see what people think. Um, are we really sending our prayers in the right direction? Are we looking to a land where the Most High is? Now we know the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof, right? However, the Most High has put his name in a specific place. He said, he's just told us right here, uh, the 6th chapter of Second Chronicles, the 6th verse. But I have chosen Jerusalem that my name might be therein. Okay. And furthermore, um, as far as praying in the correct direction, right? Solomon is saying, if they return to thee with all, as he prays to the Most High, or to the Lord Almighty, if they return to thee with all their heart and with all their soul, in the land of their captivity, whither they have carried them captives, and pray toward their land. It's very important. Some people may say, nah, it don't matter, right? You don't say that when you have to stop, when you have to stop at a red light. You don't say that when you have to stop at a stop sign, or when there's a bus stop sign for the children to get off the school bus. Okay, it don't everything don't matter when it comes to scripture, but it does matter because it says it in scripture. Scripture makes it plain. It does matter. Okay, whether they have carried themselves and pray toward their land. So you have to pray toward the land. Where is the land? Right? As we have just visited, it's in Sacsayhuaman. It's the 3 continents. And Solomon here is uh specifically referencing the temple in Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim meaning the area we know as Sacsayhuaman today. Okay, according to all the geographical characteristics that surround Yerushalayim. Biblical Yerushalayim is in Cusco, Peru, Sacsayhuaman, according to scripture. Right, if they pray toward their land which thou gavest their fathers, and toward the city which thou hast chosen, and toward the house which I have built for thy name, okay, then hear thou from the heavens. This is a covenant made by Solomon and the Most High. Even though that the Most High right now, he's not according to Micah 3 and 4, he may not hear us according to our sin. Right, and then there's also another nation who has supplanted us that he said he would do so with. When you read Deuteronomy 32 verse 20, okay, he would supplant us with this other nation because we went a whoring with other idols. Okay, so we have to factor all of that in. Another thing is, even though we are a holy people, pursuant to Deuteronomy chapter 7 and 6, right, we are holy people. Says the Most High has chosen us to be a special people unto himself above all people. Right, we can't remember these are the commandments of the Lord Almighty. Okay, and he commands us, if he says he doth execute, this is Deuteronomy 10 and 18, he doth execute the judgment of the fatherless and widow, and loveth the stranger. So he loves the stranger, and give him food and raiment. Therefore it says, love ye therefore the stranger, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. Okay, why is that so? Right, when you read Isaiah chapter 14, it tells you the stranger, it speaks of the stranger, right? And even though the stranger will It says here, this is Isaiah 14, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Yaakov, and the people shall take them and bring them in the right. So as you read along, yeah, this is what will happen according to certain strangers, but there are strangers that or sojourners that will have an inheritance among Israel. Believe it or not, right? And many of you Israelites got to accept that this is the Lord's program, right? I'll tell you this: I'm for truth. I'm not with no one who's really not for truth. You know, I listen and I have a filter somewhat of a degree of a decent filter, but I'm for truth. Okay, and what the truth is actually. And if I'm wrong, I can take being wrong. I'm just mostly for truth. Okay. The stranger. Now this precept here, Ezekiel chapter 47, verse 22, and it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you. Right? We're talking about the land. And to the strangers that sojourn among you, and that which shall beget children among you, and they shall be unto you as born in the country among the children of Israel. Remember, there's a law for Yysraayl, and there's a law for the sojourner. It says they shall have an inheritance among the tribes of Yysraayl. And it says, and it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourneth, that there shall ye give him his inheritance. That I'm not saying this. This is thus saith Adonai Elohim Yahuwah. Okay. This is his mitzvah. Okay. This is his matzawoth. Okay. Not Darak Yashar Ben God. This is the Most High's word here. Okay. So make sure that we reckon ourselves according to genealogy. It does matter because the Most High still has a biblical people. Okay. And when you read Ezekiel 33, or Jeremiah 33, let me see. Salaki. All right, the Most High says, let me get it here. All right, there's certain things that we still have to abide by, not our own, however, the Most High. Okay, moreover the word, this is the 33rd chapter of Jeremiah, starting at the top. It says, moreover the word of Yahweh came unto Yaramiah the second time. Wait a minute. It's not, is that what I want? Okay, so basically, let me see. Verse 19. So it says, and the word of the Lord came unto Jeremiah saying, so this is Jeremiah 33rd chapter, 19th verse, the 20th verse, thus saith the Lord, if ye can break my covenant of the day and my covenant of the night, and that there should not be day and night in their season, then may also my covenant be broken with the Wad my servant. Okay. So this is a covenant that's already established that cannot be broken. Okay. Okay, that he should not have a son to reign upon his throne, and with the Levites, the priests, my ministers. Okay, so, and even furthermore, this is just to prove, because there's all sorts of notions out there concerning the Most High. Where do you get it from? I don't know. Without scripture, things are plain here, but people, and I say this, everything I say, I want to keep meek, but here it is, Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 35. Thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar, the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Sabaoth, Shamka. Okay? Yahweh Sabaoth, Shamka. Okay, if those ordinance, the Lord of hosts is his name. Verse 36, if those ordinance depart from before me, okay, Lapani, saith Amar Yahweh, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. Thus saith Yahweh. Okay. Kankamar Yahweh, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, saith the Lord. Okay, so the covenant is still established as far as it, I mean, you still see the sun, the celestial bodies in the sky. The Most High is still dealing with his people. Okay. Okay, so keeping in mind, we ought to be reckoned. That's the one Hakabib is. We ought to be reckoned by genealogy. Um, and there is a way to. I want to say this: genealogical records, they only get you so far. Okay, genealogical records only get you so far. So what you must do, you must deal with DNA. And as I said in the very initial part of this video, the Most High is the architect of such. You have a fingerprint, a unique fingerprint because of the creator of all things. You have red blood cells and white blood cells because of the creator of all things. Not saying that man can't duplicate that, but however, he's the creator of all things, right? So DNA, that establishes DNA as being something that we have discovered. Okay, man has discovered DNA. Man is not the architect or creator of DNA. Okay, so DNA can be established and revealed with DNA. To go back to my PowerPoint, right? Because we can reckon genealogies through genealogical records. However, genealogical records don't go so far, right? So what serves as an assistant to that is DNA. Okay, and as I said in the beginning, okay, if we see Salaki, okay, with all of these tribes, okay, it fits into this here. Okay, now, I had an extraordinary time putting people in, people groups into their prospective places. I have some, however, again, many of us are scattered abroad still. Okay, we're still scattered abroad as you read when you read the scripture. Okay, James 1:1. So you're not going to get everyone and every people group, that fits into certain places. People generally, geneticists particularly, go to Africa because Africa hasn't been messed with to such a degree as every place else has, even though it is and is being messed with right now. However, the people groups have maintained most of their culture, or not most of it, but a significant degree of it, or a significant part of it. Okay, they have some language, whereas the so-called African American over here, so-called, the so-called copper-colored American over here, and perhaps elsewhere else doesn't, you don't have your language, right? You don't have um culture really, so much of a culture. We got this nonsense culture nowadays that's deteriorating even more. Um, I can't even tell you what's new out in music. I don't really even listen to music no more. Clothing, I don't. I can. It bugs me. You put it like that. However, anyway, the DNA here, the geneticists, they deal with people over in Africa because they have more of a concentrated um dynamic going on as far as, you know, your different areas, language, culture, genetics, so on and so forth. Okay, not every so-called melanated person is of the same stock. There's genetic variation. This is why DNA matters. Okay, it is estimated that 30 to 40% of American so-called copper-colored American Negroes, right, are of another ancestry. They're not Negroes at all. Okay, we have been tricked into this social, uh, into this social class type system of race when you can't tell who someone is ancestrally by just looking at them, right? Not to say sometimes you can't. However, you can't rely totally on that. So you must amalgamate different dynamics together. DNA, genealogical records, culture, migration, okay, language, okay, and this is how you're able to triangulate, who you are as a person. Okay, I myself, I took a DNA test, Y chromosome. I checked my father's. As I said, the Y chromosome, um, it extends, you know, thousands and thousands of years back. So my father, his father, father, so on and so forth. Okay. And so it stays pure and unchanged, as I said, for thousands of years. The Y chromosome does. And so this is what's referenced in Numbers chapter 118, Deuteronomy 4:37. Okay, the wisdom of Solomon, the seventh chapter. Okay, Deuteronomy 10:15. Okay, and so on and so forth. This is what's referenced. It's speaking of who your fathers is, um, um, getting a um, reckoning your genealogy by the way of your fathers. Okay, so this is what establishes uh that reckoning. Okay, DNA helps to establish that. And so we know that the E1B1A is very significant because many of the E1B1A people, they're under what's called the Bantu, part of the Bantu language group, okay? Right? And it's a Bantu migration group. Okay, and many of these people, many of the languages are somewhat quite similar, right? And they have, they're very similar in there's a heavy chronology amongst these languages with as far as with the Hebrew certain aspects, even with certain aspects of Aramaic. Okay, so I don't want to get too heavy uh, into that, but just sticking with the DNA. So as I said, I took a DNA Y chromosome test. Okay, and if you are one that you are skeptical with DNA companies, do your research. A company I went with was African ancestry. Okay, because they have a very significant amount of genome references in which they can pinpoint um, with precision what tribe your Y chromosome matches up with, what group of people, or I wouldn't say tribe, pardon me, what what people group your chromosome and your markers match up to. Okay, so this is something that has to be factored in. All right. Now I know that I myself am a Gadite, right? According to these haplotypes that you see here, okay? According to the haplotypes and uh uh how they fit the people and what the people actually do, their history, their migration, so on and so forth, their language, okay? The biblical narrative as well. That's first and foremost, the biblical narrative.